continued to send letters, but we didn't get any of them because of the war. I wonder if the American soldiers can help me, I thought. Some American soldiers wore white uniforms, some brown, and some were camouflaged. They were tall, and many had light-colored eyes, and they had big noses compared to Koreans. My brother told me that the Navy soldiers wore the white uniforms, the Army brown, and the Marines the camouflage. I thought of the American soldiers as my friends because Father was living in the United States. I wanted to ask the soldiers if they knew my father, but I could barely speak English. One day I finally got the courage to approach one of the soldiers, a tall man with a gun slung over his shoulder. My heart pounded loudly. He smiled at me. "Hello," I said. "Chewing gum?" the soldier asked. The soldiers always asked the kids if they wanted chewing gum. I hated it. "No," I said, shaking my head. Father?" "What?" The soldier rolled his big eyes. "Father," I said, this time more softly because I was starting to feel embarrassed. The words yes, no, father, and mother were all I knew in English. I started to motion with my hands, but the soldier still couldn't understand what I was trying to say. I became frustrated and I almost started to cry. I ruined my chance to find out about Father, I thought. I felt my face flush red, so I ran away and hid behind an electric pole. The soldier shrugged his shoulders and continued his patrol. I went home in vain. "Sumi, would you give your doll to Kyunja?" My mother asked later that night. I discovered that Kyunja stops crying when she plays with Hia. "But Father gave me Hia as a present," I said. I was in a very bad mood. "I want to see my father too." "But you are living with your mother and siblings while Kyunja is alone," my mother said. If you give it to her, I'll buy you a pair of beautiful red shoes." "Mom, how can I sleep without Hia?" I asked. I really don't want to give her up. Weeks later, at night, I heard weeping. When I peered into the guest room, I saw Ere Annie. Her face was purple and her body was swollen like an elephant's. I could hardly recognize her because of the bruises covering her body. She had been proud and brave, but now she was wearing prison clothing. "Oh my," I murmured. "What happened to her?" Ere Annie spoke to my mother in secret, but I could hear them through the thin walls. I learned that the South Korean army had arrested and beaten Ere Annie because she had been a leader of the communist women soldiers. But my mother had begged Uncle Park and the others to save Ere Annie's life, and they had listened. "Thank you," Ere Annie said. "You saved my life. You saved my family from danger too," my mother said. "Why didn't you flee to North Korea with the other communists?" my mother asked. "I saw your innocent children singing hymns. I've changed. I gave up being a communist. I want to be a Christian." I'm very glad to hear that. Mother gave her new clothes and Ere Annie changed into them. "I'll help you so you can return to your village before dawn," my mother said. Ere Annie thanked her. She gently took my mother's hand. "I'm not sure if I know," Ere Annie said, "but the communists killed Kyunja's father and they arrested her mother. I know that Kyunja is your mother's sister. The communists have sent you to North Korea." Ere Annie said, "I'm sorry, but I couldn't help your sister." My mother's face turned pale and started to cry. I was sad to hear that the communists had taken my aunt. The news was too big to put in my small heart. I went back to my room and tried to sleep, but it was difficult. I sat straight up in bed. "I don't know what adults are thinking," I said. "They kill and beat each other. Oh, my poor aunt. And Ere Annie might not live much longer. I have to do something good." I heard my mother leave and Ere Annie go outside. I snuck into the guest room. "Ere Annie, are you okay?" I said. "I can wipe your face and body with a cold towel like Mother did." "Thank you, Sumi," she said. "How nice to see you again." Ere Annie was in a lot of pain, but she kept her smile as I massaged her body with a cold towel. Dark bruises covered her face and her legs and arms were swollen. I was scared to touch places where she hurt. I can't be scared of these ugly bruises, I thought. I want to be a doctor when I grow up. I bit my lips tight and tried not to show Ed and Annie that I was scared. Sumi, you are so kind, she said. Eddie, Annie, you will be okay. I will pray for you. I said, go to bed. She said, your mother wouldn't want you staying up so late. I heard someone knock on the heavy wooden gates outside of our house. Goodbye, I whispered to Eddie Annie as she gave me a smile. I tiptoed away from the guest room and returned to my bed. My mother returned to our house with a man. Eddie Annie could hardly walk, but my mother and the man helped her. The man's job was to help Eddie Annie to safety. I heard them leave and mother locked the gates behind them. Dawn came silently, but I couldn't sleep. I looked over to my cousin Kianja, who was sleeping in the same room. She slept in peace. Kianja's parents are gone, I said to Hia. I can't imagine a little girl living without her mother. But she loves you a lot. I believe that you can make her happy. I went to Kianja's bed and laid Hia under her arm. I smoothed Hia's hair. Goodbye, Hia. Kianja needs you a lot more than I do, I said. I kissed both her cheeks. Kianja smiled in her sweet dream. The moon smiled through the window on the little girls in the battlefield. Chapter 12. The Communists Come Again. Wake up, Sumi, it's time to escape, my mother said. The communists are coming again. My eyes were too heavy to open and I rolled under my blanket. I thought it was a dream, but my mother's heavy, low voice gave me a chill and I opened my eyes wide. Mom, you told me all of them ran away. Sumi, we don't have time. Wake up and change your clothes, my mother whispered. The communists have reinvaded our country. I didn't want to move a finger, but I learned to listen to my mother. I could hardly say anything because only a dim candlelight flickered in the darkness. Yumi, June, and Kianja were all ready to leave. I was late. But I also noticed that my twin brothers were missing. Mom, where are the twin brothers? I asked. I sent them to Jeju Island with your cousin a few hours ago. They will be fine, she said. Wear this vest into your sweater. My mom gave me a white vest with lots of small pockets. What's this? I asked. There was money in the pockets, but don't open your pockets in public and don't take your vest off even when you're sleeping, she whispered to me. And don't use the money until the last minute. What do you mean the last minute? When you're so hungry you might die. Mom, I hate this. I don't want to leave. There's no other way. Everybody knows about your father and Uncle Park. The communists will try to kill all of us. I knew there was no choice and that we had to hurry out. My mother gave me a bag to carry, packed with only the biscuits. The night was cold and windy, and I imagined witches flying through the sky. It was midnight. Thousands of people rushed towards the Seoul train station and packed the platform. An ugly black train piled high with coal appeared through the darkness and stopped. My mother told us to scale the train, but I couldn't. The steps and the ladder were too high for my small legs. People climbed on top of the train while I struggled. Just when I thought I was going to miss my chance, my mother tied a thick rope around my waist and a man pulled the other end of the rope from above. I dangled up into the sky and landed on top of the train's coal bed. Seconds later, the train blew its horn to start. Mother, come on, hurry! We're leaving right now, I shouted. There's no room for me, so I'll take the next train, she said. Go to Busan, last stop. Your grandmother is waiting for you. Don't worry. God will guide you and we'll meet again at Grammy's house. No, Mom, get on! I'm not going anywhere without you, I screamed, but the ugly train pulled out of the station and picked up speed. I crowed loudly above the roar of the train and tried to jump off, but a big hand caught my mouth and held onto my...
이번에는 저로 얼굴이 부르뜨고 떨어질까봐 자식의 몸피차에 묶는 아버지, 얼어붙은 얼굴을 녹여주는 어머니, 헤어지지 않기 위해 소름을 참으며 나무로 향했다.
Be quiet, little girl. If you cry, the communists here will find us and kill us. said. His deep voice made me swallow my tears. The train passed under many dark, long tunnels. I held into my bag tightly, remembering the ugly boy who had robbed me going to school. My sister, my younger brother, Kinja, and I huddled close together, but the cold weather iced my body. As the clouds rolled away, the moon came out and shone on us. It was a full moon, brighter than ever. Moon, you can see my father. How I envy you. Moon, you can see my brothers. Where are they? How I envy you. Moon, you are watching my mother. Is she alright? How I envy you. Moon, do you know where the peace is gone? I can't wait for peace, I whispered. The gloomy sky turned to morning, and the people on top of the train could finally see each other in the daylight. The train's chimney smoke had stained everyone's faces. The black ash had poured down on us all night, especially when we passed under the tunnels. We laughed at each other's ash-stained faces. An old man smiled at me and wiped some of the dirt off his face. Mice came out from the chimney while a little girl was asleep and licked her face, he said jovially. And the mice drew a map on the little girl's face in the windy winter night. I thought quickly on my feet. A monkey came down from a tree while an old man was asleep and licked the old man's face. I replied. He drew Monkey's face on the old man in the shining moonlight. All the people on the train laughed and cheered at my poem. For one moment we could forget that we were all shivering in the morning cold. The sun rose and warmed us. I opened my bag and ate only one biscuit, tiny pieces at a time. The biscuits reminded me of Mother, who baked at home regularly. She put oil in the big pan and dropped in the dough. Mommy kneaded the big dough, and I kneaded the small ones, I remember. When the dough turned light brown, my mother gave us these warm, yummy biscuits, as many as we could eat. Where is my mother, and where are my brothers? I murmured. I hope Mother can catch the next train safely, and that my brothers are okay.